What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Saturday, November 2nd, 2024, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now it is 18:30 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from the Middle East. So it looks like Iran is preparing to strike Israel any hour or any day now. This afternoon, we've heard a bunch of U.S. nuclear codes being transmitted to U.S. nuclear forces, and a lot of them were actually directed to those B-52 bombers that flew over to the Middle East. I reported on that yesterday. A dozen B-52s were planned to be moved to the Middle East, and today we heard a bunch of nuclear codes being transmitted to those bombers that went to Qatar, basically giving them targeting information. They're not actually launch codes, they're targeting codes. Okay, so don't panic just yet. Okay, these are coded messages that are transmitted through radio frequencies, and they mean something to the bombers or whatever strategic asset they're sent to. So this is very concerning. It means that the U.S. is increasing its readiness and force posture in the Middle East. Okay. Now, in addition to this, we also have some reports coming in that Iran is beginning to move missiles into position already. Want to just share with you guys some information coming out of Iran, and also I want to share some disturbing tweets from the supreme leader of Iran that'll give us a little bit of a psychological insight into this guy. Also, the U.S. is scheduling a test of their Minuteman III ICBM on election night. Isn't that crazy? So on November the 5th, from 2300 hours Pacific time to November the 6th, 0500 hours Pacific time, that's from 11 p.m. Pacific time through 5 in the morning Pacific time. On Wednesday morning from Tuesday night, election night, they're going to be launching a Minuteman III ICBM from Vandenberg Space Force Base, and the missile is going to fly all the way towards the Kwajalein Atoll, which is where they do all these tests. And there is actually a NOTAM, a Notice to Airmen, which is like a warning for pilots for this area of the Pacific where the ICBM is going to be flying through from November the 6th through November the 10th. Okay, so looks like the test is scheduled for the night of the election, but they've allocated a NOTAM all the way through the 10th, which could mean either follow-up tests or potentially if there's bad weather or some kind of technical issues with the launch and they have to try it again on, let's say, the 6th or 7th or 8th or 9th rather than on the 5th, they'll have that NOTAM up so there's no accidents. But here's the actual NOTAM. Okay, you can see hazardous operations daily from November the 6th through November the 10th. All right, so very concerning because if you remember, this week Russia tested their entire nuclear triad. Early in the week, they fired off an RS-24 Yars, which is their latest land-based ICBM. It can carry multiple warheads and decoys, and it's both silo-based and mobile. Okay, so they tested the RS-24 Yars, and the RS-24 Yars was first deployed in 2011, and Russia has been slowly producing more and more of them and upgrading their missile forces with this RS-24 Yars. Also at the same time, they conducted a test launch of their latest submarine launch ballistic missile, the Bulava, which they're slowly replacing with their older submarine launch ballistic missiles. And then just 2 days ago, Russia also tested their bombers. They tested their Tu-160s and their Tu-95s. They practiced launching air-launched cruise missiles. Okay, so this is very concerning, and all of these exercises were personally supervised by Vladimir Putin, the leader of Russia. Here we have a high priority U.S. aerial refueler that flew from Britain to Qatar. It has the call sign Blue 71. Anytime you see an aerial refueler with the call sign Blue 71 or Blue something, it's affiliated with the B-52s, okay? So they were bringing down the B-52s to Qatar. There were also several other KC-135s that left Rota, Spain, and flew towards the Middle East last night, okay? As many as 4 of them left Rota and went towards the Mediterranean, and some of them here you can see landed in Qatar. Okay, so this is very concerning, guys. Rota is where we keep a lot of our B-52s that are deployed to the European and Mediterranean or Middle Eastern theater. Okay, we keep them in Rota, Spain. It's right near the Straits of Gibraltar. Also, at the same time, we had another Russian military cargo plane go to and from Kaliningrad, and many experts believe that Russia is on the verge of attacking the Baltics and Poland. And there have been some satellite images obtained by the inventor Lee Wilbarger showing hundreds of unmarked tractor trailers parked near the border with Lithuania and Poland in the Suwałki Gap, which Russia wants to take so they can have a land corridor to Kaliningrad, because right now Kaliningrad is surrounded by Lithuania and Poland. So Russia wants a land connection to Kaliningrad, okay, which is critical for Kaliningrad because then Russia can more easily funnel things in by land to Kaliningrad. As things stand right now, if they want to move any kind of goods or military hardware into Kaliningrad, they have to go through EU and NATO territory, which is problematic for them. So for Putin, he wants that land connection between Belarus and Kaliningrad, and also he wants all of the Baltics. He wants Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia because of the ports there. A lot of the ports are ice-free in the Baltics for much of the year. Not all of the year. In the winter they freeze, but spring, summer, fall, for the most part, they're ice-free. Okay, so very critical, and it would also allow Russia to position early warning radars and missile systems right in NATO's backyard. Now, earlier this week, NATO moved multiple aircraft carriers to the Baltic Sea as part of an exercise, quote-unquote exercise. I don't believe it was just an exercise. I believe that was just a cover for a deployment, but the U.S. Harry Truman aircraft carrier literally went into the Baltic Sea. Also, the British aircraft carrier went into the Baltic Sea as well. So things are really escalating over there. And the Israeli Army radio, citing American officials, reported that military movements in Iran are indicating preparation for an Iranian response to Israel. And a senior security official in Israel said that Israel is preparing for the biggest attack since the beginning of the war. Okay, so this is going to be the largest attack on Israel yet by Iran or anyone. And sources in Iran estimate that the upcoming retaliatory strikes against Israel aim to change the strategic calculations of both Tel Aviv and Washington. Wow. Okay, so this is like a classic escalation ladder. Okay, one side has to escalate significantly more than the other side to deter the other side. Okay, so Iran, in order to deter Israel from doing something like this again, has to strike with 2 to 3 times the power that they did the last time. Okay, so this is going to be potentially a massive attack, maybe hundreds, if not over 1,000 missiles launched at Israel, maybe 500 or 1,000 missiles. Okay, and the U.S. is not going to be able to shoot all of them down, but they did move several THAAD batteries into Israel, and now the B-52s. You know why those B-52s are there, guys? Those B-52s are there to conduct strikes on Iran. Okay, The B-52s are not stealthy, but they don't have to be, because they can carry a massive amount of long-range cruise missiles that they can launch from the air, and those cruise missiles can hit any target anywhere inside of Iran with tremendous accuracy, and they have all different kinds of warheads they can put on them, even small nuclear warheads, okay? And Iran's supreme leader on Saturday threatened Israel and the U.S. with a crushing response over attacks on Iran and its allies. The enemies, whether the Zionist regime or the United States of America, will definitely receive a crushing response to what they are doing to Iran and the Iranian nation and to the resistance front, Khamenei said in a video released by Iranian state media. Wow. And Iran issued a NOTAM, a notice to airmen for the Tehran flight information region from November 4th through November 6th for the purposes of gun firing. Very interesting. Isn't it interesting that all of this is happening around the election? It's like the climax. Okay, you have Iran setting up this NOTAM right around our election time, potentially striking Israel right on our election. And then we have the ICBM test. And then we also have these B-52s moving to the region. Very interesting timing. And we're hearing reports that at least 2 U.S. B-52s have already landed at the Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, while more F-16s landed in Bahrain. Okay, so the U.S. is getting ready to pummel Iran because Iran is going to strike Israel in a very massive way. It's going to be shocking, I think, unfortunately. And then the U.S. is going to have to respond, and that could draw us into a war which would delay inauguration. Okay, it's not just that elections can be delayed by a war, but inaugurations can be delayed as well. But during this lame duck period is when we really have to be on high alert. From election time to inauguration is when we really, really have to be on high alert. And I think we're going to see all these countries make moves. I think Russia's going to invade the Baltics. I think North Korea is going to attack South Korea. And it's all going to be coordinated during the lame duck period, especially if Trump wins. Okay, if Trump wins, I think you're going to definitely see Putin go for the Suwalki Gap to try to make a land bridge to Kaliningrad, possibly take all the Baltics. And at the same time, North Korea is going to attack South Korea. And that's going to be done on purpose in order to distract NATO and the U.S. from the Baltics. So the U.S. is obligated to help South Korea. And so if North Korea attacks South Korea, we're going to have to focus on that. And at the same time, Russia is going to attack Lithuania. And there's not a lot of NATO troops in the Baltics, guys. Okay, there's only a couple thousand, and they're not right near the border areas. And so it's just too tempting if you're Vladimir Putin, especially if it looks like Trump is going to be elected. You're going to make that move before Trump gets into office, because if you remember, Trump said that he threatened a nuclear strike on Moscow when he was president if Putin were to invade Ukraine, and that could be why Putin did not invade Ukraine until Trump left. And the United States warned Iran that it will not be able to contain Israel in the event of a new attack. We will not be able to contain Israel, and we will not be sure that the next Israeli attack will be as calibrated and targeted as the previous one, according to Axios, referring to sources from the Biden administration. So very concerning, guys, okay? U.S. basically telling Iran, look, we're not going to try to hold Israel back. If you strike, that's it, okay? We're not going to be able to hold them back. They're going to do whatever they need to do. And by the way, those B-52s will definitely be involved in some kind of attack on Iran. You don't move a dozen B-52s somewhere for no reason, guys, okay? We only have like 50 or so B-52s in the U.S., and most of them are part of our nuclear triad. So you don't just move a dozen of them, which is a pretty substantial portion of our B-52s for no reason. And what you're looking at here are all of the tweets from the Ayatollah Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran, today. So he wrote here, "Today, the American human rights that is touted in various forms no longer deceives anyone. Those who claim to be advocates of human rights labeled distinguished figures like Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah, Haniyeh Soleimani, and other great martyrs as terrorists, but they themselves are terrorists and criminal gangs. Ongoing events in Lebanon and Gaza have resulted in the martyrdom of 50,000 people in the last year, mostly women and children. Is this a small matter? The U.S., that claims to be an advocate of human rights, supports and is complicit in these crimes. Plans and weapons used are from the U.S." Wow. And then here's some more. "Today, the Zionist regime is committing the most atrocious crimes in West Asia. Instead of supporting the people of Palestine and Lebanon, some countries are providing economic and military aid to the malicious, cruel, bloodthirsty enemy. The United States of America and the Zionist regime will definitely receive a crushing response for what they do against Iran and the resistance front. This isn't just about revenge on the Zionist regime. It's about a logical move in line with our religion, ethics, Islamic laws, and international laws against global arrogance. Countries' officials will not hesitate or show the least neglect in this regard. Be certain about this. We will definitely do everything necessary to prepare the Iranian nation for confronting the arrogant powers, whether militarily, in terms of armament, or politically. Our officials are already working on this." Wow. And the Iranian media posted this propaganda video of Operation True Promise 3, which is basically the third strike on Israel. Okay. And we're also hearing from various sources that Operation True Promise 3 will be much more devastating than Operation True Promise 2, which was the second strike. Okay, so multiple sources inside of Iran, Israel, and the U.S. are all saying Iran is going to launch a massive strike on Israel. And the president of Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko, said today that Russia will not attack Poland, Lithuania, Latvia, or Ukraine through Belarus. This is complete nonsense. Now, if you remember, that's what they were saying right before Russia invaded Ukraine. I clearly remember, and I actually have videos of it when I was covering it. The foreign minister of Russia, Sergei Lavrov, was saying, "Oh, that's crazy. That's Western hysteria." That's what he was saying, that it was Western hysteria, that we were saying that Russia was massing forces on the border of Ukraine. And sure enough, they ended up invading. And South Korea's foreign minister, when asked yesterday whether South Korea would send weapons to Ukraine in response to North Korea sending troops to Russia, stated, quote, "All possible scenarios are under consideration." Wow. Okay, so South Korea has some very serious military prowess. Okay, for those of you guys who don't know, the South Korean military is probably one of the best in the world in terms of not just the advanced technology that they have and how good their weapon systems are, the quality, but also the quantity. So they have both. They have the quality and the quantity. And, you know, South Korea is not one to be messed with. If they start helping Ukraine, that's going to be huge, because they have all kinds of domestically produced tanks, like their Black Panther tank, which Poland recently purchased 1,000 of them from South Korea. They also have their own version of the HIMARS called the Chunmo, which is basically a copy of the HIMARS, the American HIMARS. It's just a South Korean produced HIMARS. That's all it is, okay? And Poland recently purchased 300 of them. And then they have all kinds of ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, fighter jets, radars, artillery, you name it. Okay, South Korea has some serious military prowess, and I think they're going to start helping Ukraine, and that could help Ukraine in a massive way. And the U.S. Air Force's Next Generation Air Dominance program is currently under a comprehensive review to reassess the requirements of the sixth-generation manned fighter in face of rising costs and rapid technological evolution. The U.S. Air Force's Next Generation Air Dominance program, which aims to deliver a sixth-generation fighter to replace the F-22, is undergoing a significant review that could reshape its future. Wow. The objective of the review is to reassess the requirements for the sixth-generation fighter and explore whether the current development strategy aligns with the evolving threat landscape and budget realities. So they're going to make some tweaks to this sixth-generation fighter, which is going to be absolutely insane. Now, this sixth-generation fighter is going to be stealthy. It's going to have lasers. It's going to have advanced sensors. And we're hearing also that these sixth-generation fighters are going to have like their own swarm of drones that they can deploy that can basically protect them and provide data to the pilot. So that's just totally insane. Just insane technology with this sixth-generation fighter. It looks like they're reevaluating it because of everything going on in the world. And we had some reconnaissance here last night off the coast of Cyprus and Lebanon. That was an American U.S. Navy reconnaissance drone there. Here we have some pictures that were released by North Korea showing their missile test the other day, their ICBM that flew 7,000 kilometers straight up into space. So here's the actual launch vehicle here, okay? What makes these so dangerous is that they're mobile, okay? These types of missiles are difficult to find on satellites, okay? If they disperse them to the countryside, they can hide them in the forest under the tree cover, and our satellites, our intelligence won't be able to spot them, and then they just launch. And then obviously when they launch, the infrared signature would be seen from space, but up until they launch, they would not be seen. And here's another picture here. So this thing is an absolute monster. Look how big this missile is, guys. It looks like the space mission missiles, okay, that they used to use to bring the spaceships into space. If you remember those from the 80s and 90s, look at the size of that truck. Absolutely insane. Looks like it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 axles. 12 axles. Absolutely insane. And we are in the middle of a solar flare. There was an X 2.0 class solar flare on Halloween night. And what you're looking at here is actually a picture from this evening from northern Poland. This was actually on my 24/7 stream. Somebody saw this when they were watching the 24/7 stream. I have a camera from the Suwałki Gap, which is the area that Russia wants to take over. This is in the Wigry National Park in northeastern Poland, and you can see a beautiful aurora here. It has like a pinkish color. It's pretty vivid. So check out the 24/7 stream. I have my radio system piped into the stream so you can hear the nuclear codes of various countries being transmitted globally. And I will be live on election day covering the election, so make sure you tune in for that. And just be on high alert, guys. The next couple of days are going to be absolutely insane, and the next couple of months leading up to inauguration are going to be insane. We could see all these war fronts escalate, okay, to the point of hot wars in the Baltics and the Korean Peninsula, and now we have Iran and Israel again. So I will continue to monitor the situation, and follow me on Telegram and Twitter. I post all my updates over there. Sometimes YouTube doesn't send out notifications, so don't rely on the notifications. If you follow me on those platforms, you'll never miss an update. And the links to my Telegram and Twitter are in the description below this video. And until the next time, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps. Prepare, practice, and persevere. And this update was sponsored by My Patriot Supply. Guys, My Patriot Supply has brought back their discount on their 3-month emergency food supply. And to get the deal, you got to go to preparewithnYprepper.com. The link is in the description below this video. But they have 3 months of freeze-dried food with a 25-year shelf life packed into rugged, watertight buckets that you can easily store in a small room for just $700 with free shipping included, and they ship very fast. Also, they're including some freebies. They're going to include a survival Bible, a 424-page survival book, an ultimate preparedness checklist, a natural disaster field guide. They also have a disaster replacement warranty, so if your food gets destroyed in a natural disaster, they will replace it for you with no cost. And also, they have a 30-day return policy, no questions asked. So check out My Patriot Supply. Use the link preparewithNYPrepper.com to get 25% off of their 3-month emergency food supply, free shipping included. And the link is in the description below this video.